There were 808 calls in 3 hours into the Consolidated Dispatch Agency on the day of the Florida State campus shooting.
When we saw that volume, we quickly realized that, okay, what's happening, what's the severity, and then start responding to it effectively here.
It's a volume leaders here say they hadn't seen in their time here. I'm Mayor Sargent in Northeast Tallahassee, finding out how they coordinated a law enforcement response to those calls on the day of the shooting. On an average day, the Tallahassee-Leon County Consolidated Dispatch Agency tells me each dispatcher will answer up to 120 calls per shift.
Throwing objects, yelling, continue to do interesting, okay?
But it was a different story on April 17th, the day of the FSU campus shooting.
Typically, you could go, 4 or 5 911 calls. I think when I looked at the operations board at the time, we were at 60, and that's a huge influx of calls, and we just don't see that volume like that.
The total, 808 calls in 3 hours, all with varying levels of information. Director of the CDA, David Odom, says in a critical situation like an active shooting, vetting those details is crucial.
If we're just getting an information about a singular person and we're not getting another call about it, then the likelihood is not as valid as if we're getting a call about an incident where we got 3 or 4 different people calling.
But those details kickstart law enforcement response as they begin to funnel this information out to agencies.
The first 911 call comes in. 2 minutes later, we already have a police officer on scene engaging with the suspect.
FSU PD was first on the scene, then supported by many agencies across the city. Chief Lawrence Revel with TPD, the agency now leading the investigation, commended FSU PD's response and says April 17th's outcome came down to the strong partnerships and training.
That's why I talk about all the time that it's so important to build these relationships ahead of time and to make sure that we already talk about these things.
It's a sentiment echoed by Ron O'Brien with the Leon County Sheriff's Office.
We have ongoing rescue task force training, which involves the fire department and law enforcement. And those trainings are specifically geared for incidents like this.
At the height of the incident, Odom telling me 100 officers were on the scene. Now, he says, the CDA are working on after-action reports.
Could we do something a little differently here to make sure our response is even more effective? 2 minutes, can I get it down to 1 minute response? How do we do that?
Some of those ways, the CDA is looking into how they can make their technology more mobile, and they want to educate the community, including making neighbors aware they can also text 911 to communicate with a dispatcher. As for the investigation, Chief Revel says the suspected gunman Phoenix Eichner remains in hospital, and the agency is continuing to comb through digital and physical evidence.
Analyze all of that information. Try to put all of those pieces together from cameras around FSU and other places, and just put that puzzle together so that when it is presented to the grand jury, the case is rock solid.
I did also contact FSU PD for comment. They were the agency first on the scene and the one that apprehended the suspect. FSU tells me now's not a good time with commencement this weekend and with the investigation still ongoing. In Northeast Tallahassee, Mayor Sargent, ABC 27.